Dreamy Maxi Style. I'm Robin and welcome back. So today we're talking Disney, but we're talking a little bit of sad Disney because we just had to cancel a trip. So let's get into the good before we get into the bad. So let's get into what was planned, and then I'll talk a little bit about why we had to cancel. So we were going to Disneyland Resort, and we were going to be staying at the Stovall Inn, which is pretty much right across the street from the new Pixar Hotel. So you have a great view of the backside of DCA. It's a really easy walk, almost easier than some other walks in my opinion, but I could be very much wrong about that. Going through security by the Disneyland Hotel is a lot easier as well. And it's just a really great place to stay. It has breakfast included, and it has a pool, a little putting area. It's a really nice hotel. Jeffrey and I have stayed there before, and we were going to stay there again, just because of price, proximity, and just the knowing that we've been to that hotel and we trust that hotel. Something else to say is that we were actually trying to do this one on a budget. We had a budget that I was trying to stick to with hotel, park tickets, and flights. And we'll get into a little bit more about that later. But if you've never stayed at Stovall Inn, it's a Best Western property. They have queen beds, king beds. They can sleep up to 5 in a room. They do have adjoining rooms. It's a 2-floor motel. It's really a great option. Their breakfast when we were there was wonderful. You know, it was a little bit a step above kind of what you would find at kind of just your standard breakfast, but it really was great. So now let's get into the flights. So we were flying United with personal item only, and we were flying into LAX because that was the cheapest I could get. And as I said, I'll explain a little bit more, but we were going on a budget. So we were flying into LAX, we were flying United, we were leaving on a Friday night, coming back on a Monday night. Pretty standard. There are several hotels that you can fly into for Disney in the area. You have LAX, John Wayne, Orange County, which is the closest, Long Beach, Ontario. You could fly into Burbank, but that's kind of stretching it a little bit. But there are several hotels. Some are more expensive, some are a little bit cheaper, some, it just depends on the airline you're flying. So we were flying United. We did pick out seats and pay that little bit of extra to be able to sit together, because when you fly basic on United, you get basically your personal item and you don't get to pick your seat. You can pay to pick your seat, which is what we had done. So yeah, we love United. We fly United all the time. We fly United and Southwest pretty routinely. Our last trip when we went out to Florida, we did fly United. So, I mean, we enjoy it and we trust it. And though LAX is a bit of a stretch, like I said, it was significantly the cheaper airport. So that's why we chose that one. So as many of you know, Pixar Fest is going on right now. We were gonna do the 3-day, 1 park per ticket per day ticket, and go and experience Pixar Fest. And we haven't been to the parks in 2 years. The last time we've been to Disneyland, we took our kids. It was our family vacation. We were there for 5 days. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Jeffrey and our son Dylan created lightsabers. My stepdaughter Hannah got to do a princess breakfast, because we had already done Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique once before with her. We wanted to do something a little bit different. So they walked away with so many amazing memories. And that was for my 40th birthday as well. And so But we haven't been since. We have frequented Walt Disney World several times since, which is kind of how this channel became. But I really wanted to go back. I thought this would be a great time to go back. They had a great deal. And I mean, between Pixar Fest and then, you know, they're continuing to just bring out more fun and different foods. And then also the return of Fantasmic. So we thought it would have been a perfect time to go back, just Jeffrey and I, do a couple of quick days and just have a really fun little adventure. Just the two of us, again, right around my birthday. So I had mentioned that we were trying to do this on a budget. I had a budget of about $1,300 to try and make this happen with. So our hotel was going to be $586. I reserved it quite a bit ago. I did it through hotels.com. I had some points with that. And so we had reserved it through there. United, I found tickets for like $200 each. It was a really, really great deal. So we were really excited about that. Again, it was just for the basic. I didn't love that we were flying into LAX, but hey, when you're getting that cheap of a ticket, you just gotta go with it. I would almost say that for Frontier, but I'm not a huge fan of Frontier. I was planning on giving them another go. I might still give them another go. But the times just didn't work out. And then of course the park tickets would have been $500. So looking at that, we were already over by $200, which was fine. I have Disney gift cards saved up. I could have made up the difference. Obviously with all of this, we're getting points and, you know, rewards back, in different ways. That sometimes if I'm trying to really budget, like I will like kind of like walk some of that back and be like, well, we saved or we earned. But I couldn't justify it on this trip. Partially because we were going into LA. Our Uber ride would have been probably close to $100 each way. Usually something Jeffrey and I do is every paycheck we do buy a Disney gift card, and with that Disney gift card we flip-flop who it goes to. And then so it'll go to me, to Jeffrey, to food, to hotel. So kind of once a month we're gaining little bits of money to go towards things when we go to the Disney parks. Doesn't matter if it's Disneyland or Disney World. Sorry, cat fight. I don't know if you could hear that or not, but my mom's cats are kind of rough and tough in it right now. Anyway, so we came out a little bit over what I wanted, and that was without transportation and without thinking about food. So that was the first thing that kind of went into why we canceled. So let's get into that a little bit more. Before I say one more thing, I want to say one more thing before I talk about why we actually ended up canceling, because it wasn't fully because of the budget. I think when you go to Disneyland or Disney World, I think it's absolutely possible to do it on a budget. I do think it is easier to do it on a budget at Disneyland because you have so many more exterior restaurants that you can walk to that is cheaper than eating in the park. Plus, you have a Walgreens, you have a Target, you have the ability to go to a grocery store. There's a Vons nearby or a Ralph's. And you have the ability to go pick up groceries a little bit easier. You're not having to pay for extra Instacart or the renting of a car or any of that. And frankly, in Anaheim, you don't want a car because you have to pay for parking at these hotels. So I do think it is easier at Disneyland to do a budget. And I think I was a little ambitious with a $1,300 budget coming from Colorado, because I was not including transportation. But we got a great deal with the hotel. Obviously Disney is doing an incredible deal right now with the 3-day, 1 park per day pass for $244. So obviously there are some good deals going on that help to allow you to do that. But for us right now, we just didn't hit the budget that I had set. There is another reason though that we canceled besides breaking that budget by about $200, because we could have come up with the $200. That really wasn't a reason to cancel. Here's why we canceled. At the time that we canceled, nothing for Halloween had been talked about yet. We did know that on July 8th, they were pretty much closing down all of Critter Country. So you only had one entrance into Galaxy's Edge. Hungry Bear Diner, which is a favorite of mine, would have been closed, and they have been changing their menu quite a bit lately. Haunted Mansion was still closed and there were still no updates. And we have seen little sneak peeks of Fantasmic, and I gotta say, I was a little underwhelmed. And that's probably the show I love even more than fireworks. So, yeah. Unfortunately, when Murphy caught fire, that's the basically the dragon animatronic that caught fire last year. When that happened, it changed the entire way, and the fact that they haven't brought that back with the debut of Fantasmic, I don't know. So I don't know. Between us going slightly over on the budget, which, like I said, really wasn't a major game changer in it, but we were trying to do this on a budget. That was going to be a whole part of the vlog series I was doing. Between the preparing to close Critter Country, it wouldn't have been closed when we went. I do want to clarify that. But it's still that kind of, it's about to be closed and the walls were going up and you already have pretty much everything else in Critter Country closed. We just kind of decided that maybe we need to hold off a little bit longer. Now, since we have canceled, they have announced that they will be starting to sell tickets for Oogie Boogie Bash June 27th for those who are non-key holders. They have announced that the Haunted Mansion will be opening with Halloween season returning, and that's incredible. However, even with Haunted Mansion reopening, that doesn't answer the question about the whole Critter Country area, which is Tiana's, Winnie the Pooh, Hungry Bear. And so with all that, we did cancel. Okay, so I am sad that we canceled, but I do think it was the right thing to do. We've been going to the parks in progress is how I refer to it, for a very long time. And I think there's something to be said about being able to go to the park when it's, when there's not a huge thing happening. With the transformation of Splash Mountain into Tiana's Bayou Adventure, that's a huge transformation. It really, really is. And that takes a lot of the park. And it's been going on for some time. We frequented Walt Disney World right after Tiana's went down in 2023. And we experienced it when it was down in 2024. Or when they were still retheming it. And I do have to say, there is something about when things start to reopen and then just the joy that comes with that. Especially when it's something that you enjoy, and I enjoy Critter Country, and I have no idea what they're going to be doing to it, so it's going to be interesting to find out. So with that said, we are sad, but at the same time, we also have a little bit of an announcement. So the next video you watch will be in my lovely face from probably this same background. But we're going to talk about the dessert parties that we experienced at Walt Disney World for Happily Ever After. So we Jeffrey and I have been very fortunate to be able to do 2 out of the 3 dessert parties. And I'm going to try and include some pictures as much as I can find, but I'm going to kind of walk you guys through what that looks like. And so that'll be the next vlog, along with a very exciting announcement. So, we are very sad this trip got canceled, but we're also very excited. There's some things happening here at home that we are just very excited about and that are taking up a lot of our time and are just crazy. So, but they're all very good things. So with that, that is why we canceled our trip. That was what our trip was going to look like. I've also heard mixed reviews about Pixar Fest. Jeffrey's a huge Toy Story fan. You guys know this. You've seen the shirt. And we were really excited for the possibility of going to Pixar Fest. But they've already canceled a couple of things along with Pixar Fest. We're not big parade people. The fireworks show looked amazing. But hey, the fireworks looked amazing. We're not parade people. But overall, we think it was the right call. We do prefer to go in spring to Disneyland, before the May gray and June gloom hits. Summer there is hot. Equivalent in a different way to Florida, but equivalent in my opinion. We survived Florida in August. I'm shaking my head like this, but I mean, yes, we survived Florida in August. But when we took the kids June, it was bad. So anyway, so with all of that, that is our update. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you stayed through the end. It's always very sad to cancel a Disney trip, but it's always still fun to hear what things you were gonna do. We were gonna do Genie Plus at least one day. We were gonna stand in line the other days. And sometimes it seems worse than it is, but I think over the years, Jeffrey and I have gone from like ride to let's soak in the atmosphere. And I think in many ways our kids are very similar to that too. They enjoy soaking in things, versus just boom, 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 boom. At least my son does. So, but yeah, so I think it's just, when you go in somewhere, you have to change how you do everything. Even going to Disneyland, which is Disney World, and enjoying that space is so much greater than sometimes doing all of the rides. So we were definitely only going to do Genie Plus one day. It was going to be for Disneyland. California Adventure, I think we would have probably just bought a lightning lane for Radiator Springs Racers for the early evening. But yeah, so that's my update. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Watch out for the next one. We're going to be talking about dessert parties in Magic Kingdom. So we'll talk to you then. Have a great week.